Oh man, it's early. Yo, good morning everyone. Good morning. Phew. I just got home, took the kid to school, and I saw a nice little surprise here for the division. So, let me get hyped up and do this video. All right, here we go. What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with some breaking news regarding the Division 2. So sit back, relax, grab that popcorn. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. But in today's video, we got patch notes for tomorrow's PTS, which means new gear, new weapons, new talents, new exotics, and much more. Now, all of this information and more is on my Twitter page, X if you nasty. So follow me over here at Kamikazevondoom for all of the Division news before I make a YouTube video. Like I said, I just got home from taking the kid to school, and all of this was already live. So if you want this information before I do the video, just follow me over here at Kamikazevondoom. But all right. Now, this was not posted, this was not advertised, or anything from the developers. And in fact, they haven't even posted about this yet. So, shout out to whoever was telling me about it. And yeah, here we go. So, tomorrow is going to be Year 5, Season 3, PTS Phase 2. Now, in Phase 1, we were only testing out the changes to the Project Resolve part of the update. This is all of the new stuff coming to the update. So this is all going to be new things. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have your popcorn, breakfast sandwich, whatever it is, coffee. Here we go. Okay. So starting off right at the top, we have the PTS Phase 2 patch notes. It's going to be 94 gigs, only 12.5 gigs if you kept your PTS on your computer. It's going to start on the 19th, that is tomorrow, at 7 a.m. Now, that's going to be 7 a.m. Eastern Time. So just remember that. The times I usually go with are Eastern Time. And it's going to end on Monday, January 22nd at 7 a.m. Eastern. Ooh, I want to go ahead and jump into it. Look at this. The brand new brand set. Here we go. The Palisade Steelworks. Now remember, I don't read any of this stuff ahead of time. I try to do it all live with you. That way you get my initial reaction, and then we can talk about it in the comments. But here we go. Palisade Steelworks. So we have 3 bonuses. The 1 piece bonus will give you 10% armor on kill. The 2nd piece bonus will give you 60% health. Interesting. And the 3rd piece bonus will give you a skill tier. Okay. Well, right off the bat, we all know that armor on kill procs with skills. And we also know that with this update, they are changing it to where your skills will not proc preservation. So it's kind of interesting that they're going to fix preservation and skills, but then they're going to come out with a brand set that works with armor on kill. All right, and then we have the named chess piece. It's going to be called the Combustor. So the Combustor is going to be perfectly explosive delivery. Yet another talent nobody wants to use. Now it goes on and says whenever you throw a skill 1.5 seconds after it landing, it will create an explosion within 5 meters. Afterwards, these explosions will occur every 5 seconds. Now your damage will scale with the skill tier, dealing 25 to 100% more damage of a concussion. A concussion grenade. Now, just so you know, you can get your concussion grenade up to over 2 million damage. And this is saying it can go up to 100% more. Or no, dealing 100% damage of a concussion grenade. So it could do damage up to around 2 million. That's crazy. Applying a remote pulse, all turrets, all hives, explosive seeker mine, cluster seeker mine, mender seeker mine, decoy, and all traps will work with perfectly explosive delivery. Now, the backpack is going to be called Proxy. Proxy is going to be the named backpack, and the new named backpack talent will be called Perfectly Tamper Proof. So, perfectly tamper proof, what's that going to be? So, enemies that walk within 3 meters of your hive, turret, remote pulse, or decoy will be shocked. It takes 2 seconds to arm, and after they are shocked, it will have a 8-second cooldown. Okay. So just a quick overview. Palisade Steelworks, Armor on Kill, Health, Skill Tier, Perfectly Explosive Delivery, and Perfectly Tamper-Proof. Okay, interesting. Next up, we have our new gear set. This is our new gear set. Aegis, Aegis, I think is how you say it. Again, I do all this without looking ahead of time. So Aegis. I've never seen that word before or name, but let me know in the comments. So this gear set is going to give you, dude, this is 70% health for the 2-piece bonus. For the 3-piece bonus, you get 15% total armor. Oh, 15. That alone destroys Uzina Getica, Heligard, and Badger Tough. Yeesh. And then the 4-piece will give you the talent Stoic. I'm guessing this is all European, probably, So Stoic gets 3% damage resistance for every enemy that is targeting you. Interesting. I wonder how it counts an enemy as targeting you. The bonus is multiplied by 1, where the X is the number of agents in your group. Oh, nice. So if you have 4 people in your group, it would be 1.4% multiplier on that 3% damage resistance. Interesting. The chest talent Deceit. Enemies targeting your decoy, it will also count towards your stoic damage reduction bonus. And for the backpack, we have the polythean plating. And it increases your stoic damage resistance bonus from 3% to 4%. Ooh. So then if you could get the 4% damage resistance bonus per enemy with the multiplier in a full group. Interesting. So, quick overview for the gear set. Aegis is the name, I'm guessing. 70% health, 15% total armor, and then Stoic as the talent, which is going to give you damage resistance. All right, now let's go to the exotics. We have exotic gloves. Ooh. Rugged Gauntlets is the name of the exotic gloves. Rugged Gauntlets. And the talent is called Iron Grip. So the Iron Grip talent is going to give you minus 50% recoil when hip firing. And minus 50% penalty when blind firing from cover. Oh my god. That is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the exact thing, that's the exact nerf that Terry Spire, Keith Evans, and Red Storm, I'm pretty sure that's the nerf they did to Hipfire back in year 1 of the game. I'm pretty sure. Around like title update 4, maybe title update 6, somewhere around there, they completely nerfed Hipfire into the ground. And it looks like this is just taking back what that nerf was. That's funny. And only people that would have been around for that long of this game's life cycle would remember that. But that's funny because hip firing was dramatically nerfed way back in year 1 for PvP. So this is hilarious that they are bringing it back because hip firing in both Division 1 and Division 2 was very toxic in the dark, and not only the dark zone, but also just PvP in general, because you could run up to someone with a tank build and then just hip fire them while chicken dancing next to them. So This is going to be very interesting to try out. Okay. Moving on, we have new weapons and new talents, starting with the new exotic rifle, the Vindicator. The Vindicator. All right, the Vindicator comes with the talent Ortiz Assault Interface. So while you are scoped in, the weapon will highlight a random body section for each enemy. The weapon will deal plus 75% more damage to that highlighted section. Okay. The exotic will come with a plus 5 mag size for the mod, 10% explosive or optimal range for the muzzle, weapon stability for the underbarrel, and weapon accuracy for the optics. I love it. I love how they'll come out with a developer note and explain in a full paragraph why they are not going to add accuracy and stability to any of the rifles. But in the same sense, they're going to introduce a brand new rifle with more optimal range, stability, and accuracy. So, hey guys, we're not going to mess with any of the rifles that are already in the game because that will mess with diversity. However, we'll give you this brand new rifle that is more accurate, more stable, and shoots further and has more magazine size than all those other rifles. So, I mean, in a sense, you're just making another meta. They made a meta with the St. Elmo's engine and assault rifles. They made a meta with the Ouroboros and SMGs. And now they are making a rifle meta, where this one clearly is going to do more damage than all the other rifles. While you're scoped in, it just highlights one section and you get 75% more weapon damage. Come on. Come on. That's so. That. Why even give us developer notes explaining why you don't want to do stuff to weapons and then give us a weapon that does all the things you said you're not going to do? That's that's all. That's all I'm going to say. This right here is going to be the new rifle meta, the Vindicator. You heard it here first. Moving on. Oh wow, we're getting two exotic weapons. Look at that. We get an exotic pistol because we needed more exotic pistols and more exotic rifles, right? Because right? We needed more of those. Okay. So the Mosquito is the new exotic pistol, and it comes with the talent Mosquito Song. So it says hitting an enemy will apply a stack. These stacks will be shared between players. Oh no. At 10 stacks, the enemy will forcefully target the last player that applied that stack. Interesting. Hitting an enemy will apply a stack. Those stacks are then shared between your players. At 10 stacks, the enemy will forcefully target the last player. Why do we care? Hitting an enemy applies. What does the stack do? So the stack just gives aggro? Activating this effect on an enemy will remove all stacks from all the other enemies. What does that mean? The enemy will forcefully target the last player that applied the stack for 5 seconds. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. It's either written very poorly or they don't know what this weapon is going to do. So it's just going to forcefully target the what does that mean? So if we're in PvP, is it going to forcefully move my character to the last person that applied that stack? That doesn't. We're gonna have to test this. It doesn't make any sense. It kind of makes sense in PvE only if you want to try to get a boss to get your aggro, but it doesn't make any sense. This we'll test it. It seems to be phoned in. Weapon stats and mods, we get plus 15% reload speed and plus 15% accuracy. Okay, so quick overview for the exotic weapons. We get an exotic rifle that we're going to try out tomorrow called the Vindicator. It will highlight a random body part, and you get plus 75% weapon damage to that highlighted body part. For the exotic pistol, you're hitting an enemy to get their aggro. Okay. It's stupid. Moving on. New weapon and talents. Okay, let's see here. Behind you talent. So this is the new weapon talent. Behind you. Deals 40% weapon damage to enemies that are not targeting you. So that just means they're not looking at you or they're not aiming at you. This is dangerous because then they're just going to try to shoot you in the back because they're going to melt you in the back. Okay. Let's keep going. Marksman rifle. Oh my god. Oh my god. So let's come out with a weapon talent that does more damage if we shoot you in the back. Oh, and by the way, let's make one of those a freaking marksman rifle. What? The marksman rifle is going to do 60% more weapon damage to people that they're not targeting. Guess what? If you're using a sniper and you're down the freaking road, they're not going to be targeting you. So you're telling me you're going to buff all of the sniper gear sets and brand sets? Or no, brand sets? I'm sorry, not gear sets. So you're going to buff all of the marksman rifle brand sets. You're going to make the marksman rifles more powerful. And then you have the gall to increase more damage to a freaking marksman rifle that will now give you 60% more damage if they're not targeting you. Are you kidding me? I don't remember the last time I was ever sniped in the dark zone while I was targeting them. You see what I mean? This is just going to create more one-shot builds with the snipers that are already one-shotting. That doesn't make any sense. Oh my gosh. I mean, for PvE, yeah, that sounds amazing. For PvP, that sounds horrible. Ah, jeez. Next, we have the rifle. So we're going to have a named marksman rifle with 60% more damage when you're not looking at them, and a rifle. Eesh, man. Okay. So the rifle is going to be called the Whisper. It's going to be a M16A2, and the talent, perfectly behind you, deals 60% more damage to enemies that are not targeting you. So sneak up to someone with a rifle, bang, 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 they're dead. All right. Now we're getting into the Project Resolve changes. Okay. So just a quick overview if you are just now joining me. We've had some huge news today. This is crazy. This is crazy. So much stuff. Okay. Let's just quick overview and then we'll hit the Project Resolve. The new brand set is called Palisade Steelworks, Armor on Kill, Health, and Skill Tier. Perfectly explosive delivery and perfectly tamper-proof. Again, two talents not a lot of people use, especially in PvP. Seems to just be a big PvE thing. For the gear set, Aegis, I think is how you say it. 70% health, 15% total armor, and then the talent Stoic, which will do damage resistance depending on how many enemies are targeting you. For the exotic gloves, the brand new exotic gloves are called the Rugged Gauntlets, and these are going to reduce your recoil from hip firing and your recoil from blind firing from cover. So any sort of hip fire is now going to be 50% better. For the new exotic weapons, we're getting a new exotic rifle called the Vindicator. Highlights a random body part, 75% damage. And then an exotic pistol that's not going to do anything. For the new weapon talents and named weapons, we are getting the new weapon talent called Behind You. So as long as the enemy is not targeting you, you will deal 40% more damage. The named marksman rifle will be called the Brutus. This one will deal 60% more damage if you're not targeting them with a marksman rifle. And finally, for the new named weapons, we have the Whisper. This is the new named rifle. It is a M16A2, and then again, perfectly behind you, dealing 60% more damage to targets that are not targeting you. Okay. Now let's talk about the Project Resolve. So in conflict, they're removing the turrets. Okay. In the Dark Zone, they are lowering the time to activate your rogue timer in a non-invaded Dark Zone. So now it will be a 3-second activation instead of 5 seconds. And in the invaded Dark Zone, it'll still be the 0.75 seconds. For the talents Dr. Home, they have changed the proc back to killed target instead of just headshots on the target. So Dr. Home is back to its ways yet again. For PvP only, the festive delivery. Concussion grenades become festive grenades. Hitting a enemy with a festive grenade will cause explosions to happen around 2 other enemies within 10 meters, dealing half damage. Previously, the concussion grenades become festive. Hitting an enemy with the festive grenade will cause explosions to happen around 2 enemies within 20 meters. Oh, they nerfed. They nerfed it. Wow. And they cut it in half. It used to be a 20-meter radius. Now it's only a 10-meter radius. Wow. Dang. Festive delivery just got a nerf. The Unbreakable, the talent has been reverted back, so Unbreakable is going back to the way it was. System Corruption 4-piece bonus changed to 2 bonus damage instead of 1. Oh, shoot. System Corruption just got a huge buff. Oh my god. They just doubled the System Corruption damage. I'm testing that out tomorrow. And Intimidate. Each stack of total weapon damage will be 4%. Dude, they just nerfed Intimidate. Motherfucker. They just buffed Intimidate for everyone to bring it back. And then they just nerfed it again. So no one's going to use it again. Like, use your head. Like, come on. Like, how insensitive to the audience. Know your audience. Anyways, going to the weapons. All exotic weapons will have their third talent reconfigurable. So you'll be able to change any of the bottom talents. Any of the bottom attributes on your exotics. The Carbine 7 and the Stoner LAMG will not drop just the preset talent. So you'll be able to get the Stoner LAMG and the Carbine 7 to drop with whatever weapon talent that they have available. Ooh, buffs. Oh, snap. Okay. Oh, dude, I hope you guys have your popcorn. This is a lot of information. We're going to probably have to make another video. Okay, so assault rifles. All of the ACRs are getting a 10% weapon damage buff. The AKM, the military AKM, the black market AKM, the black market AKM replica, and the Manic are all getting a 10% buff. The AUG, Invisible Hand, and Bighorn are all getting a 10% buff. The CTAR and the Rail Splitter are now only getting a magazine buff. Ooh. The F2000 Shield Splinter is getting a magazine buff and a RPM buff. Oof, that's going to be really good. The FAL and all of its variants are getting a 5% weapon buff. The military G36 and all of its variants are getting a plus 50 RPM buff. The Honey Badger and the Savage Wolverine is getting a plus 5 mag size buff. Plus 5 mag size. That's... Why even do that? Plus 5 mag size when all of these are all plus 10? The MK16 and all the variants are getting a plus 10 weapon damage buff. The military P416, Glory Days, and Eagle Bearer are all getting a plus 50 RPM buff. And finally, the PDR, Test Subject, and Capacitor are all getting a 10% buff. All buffs. Okay. LMGs. The Stoner LAMG and the Quiet Roar is getting a 20% buff. Just remember, that LMG has over 225 rounds in the magazine, and now you're giving a 20% weapon damage buff. That's huge. Blue Screen is getting a 10% weapon damage buff. The military L86 and all of its variants, 20% weapon damage buff. The Dare and the GR9, 20% weapon damage buff. The M249 and the MK46 variants all getting a 20% weapon damage buff. The M60 and all of its variants, including the Good Times, is getting a 20% buff. The MG5 and all of its variants, including the Sleipner and Big Show, are getting a 20% buff. The Iron Lung, easily one of the best LMGs in the game, is getting a 10% weapon damage buff. The Negev Carnage and Bullet King, 20% buff. And finally, the RPK, New Reliable, and all of those variants, 20% buff. These are all buffs, man. This is a lot of changes. A lot of changes. Next, we have SMGs. So the AUG and all of its variants for the SMG is getting a 10% buff and 25 RPM buff. The Banshee and the Grudge, 5% weapon damage, 50 RPM buff. Holy crap. So that makes it a 950 RPM? I'm pretty sure. The MP5 and all of its variants, including the Cabaret, are getting a +6 magazine size buff. The MP7 and Swap Chain, +5 weapon damage and 50 RPM buff. The T821 and all of its variants, 10% weapon damage buff. Converted SMG9 and all of its variants, +50 RPM buff. The Tommy Gun Slayer AO and the Grown Great, 10% weapon damage buff. And finally, the Police UMP45 and all of its variants, 10% weapon damage buff. Okay. Going down to the rifles. And then they're buffing the Vindicator exotic that just came out. 10% and a 20% RPM buff. It hasn't even come out yet, and it's already... Yeesh. Yeesh, bro. That's going to be a deadly rifle. You remember back in the day when the developers said that all the new exotics are meant to just promote a new play style and not to become a new meta? Well, that went out the window. St. Elmo's is a meta, Ouroboros is a meta, and now this Vindicator, I promise you, will be a meta. Rifle buffs. ACR SS, 10% weapon damage buff. Ruthless and Merciless, 10% weapon damage buff. The UIC Mod 2, 30% weapon damage buff. The M16A2, including the new named Whisper, 30% weapon damage buff. The MDR, Replica, and Vindicator, 10% weapon damage buff and +20 RPM. The military MK17 and all of its variants, including the Everlasting Gaze, 25% weapon damage buff. Okay. The SIG 716, all of its variants, including the Artist Tool, 25% weapon damage buff. The Ravenous is only going to get a 10% weapon damage buff. The ACS 45 ACP and all of its replicas, 10% weapon damage buff. And finally, the Harmony and the Resolute MK47, 20% weapon damage buff. So many changes. All right, marksman rifles. Here we go. M700 and all of its variants, +20% weapon damage and 8 optimal range. Interesting. M700, including the Eckham's long stick, 25% weapon damage buff and +8 optimal range. Holy crap. The converted SRS, all of its variants, including the Pinprick, +30% weapon damage, while the Mantis is getting +15% weapon damage buff. The SR1, all of its variants, including the Designated Hitter, 30% weapon damage buff. The Paratrooper SVD, all of its variants, including the Commando and the Dread Edict, 15% weapon damage buff. And finally, the Scalpel and the Tactical 308, 20 RPM and 8 optimal range. Eesh, man. Eesh. Okay, so then we have all of these brand set changes. Okay, let's click on these. Okay, so here's the first one. Let's see if we can. No, we can't. Okay, let's see. Open in a new tab, maybe. There we go. I wanted to get that bottom part out of the way. Okay, let's see if any of these have been changed from the last PTS. So Alp Summit, they are increasing the skill duration and the skill haste. Okay. China Light, they are increasing the skill haste and the status effects. Electrique, they're increasing the SMG damage. Empress International, ooh, they reverted it back. Look at this. I love how the after is still in orange, but it's the same. They didn't. Like, we're not going to see that it's not changed. Or, yeah, come on. Hana Yu, dude, they did it. Hana Yu, they nerfed it also. But then they upped the weapon damage on Hana Yu. Yo, they took away all of that extra skill damage. Remember, Empress and Hana Yu both had increases in skill damage. And ooh, dude. All of these. Wow. Well, they increased the Murakami skill damage. They didn't change that. But that was bugged in the last PTS. Interesting. For Richter and Kaiser, they're increasing the explosive resistance and the repair skills. And for Wyvern, they're increasing the status effects and skill duration. Okay. Very interesting. Let's go back. There we go. So that was the first pop-up. Let's do the next one. So many tabs. There we go. Oh, man. We're getting there. We're almost done. All right. The second one, I'm just looking really quick. Lingmo, more skill health, more LMG damage. Habsburg Guard, more marksman rifle and status effects. Golden Gear was nerfed. It was 1%. Now it's going to be 1.5 instead of 2. So they nerfed it back. Or didn't nerf it back. They compromised. Where's Heligard? Oh my god. They changed Heligard. Instead of 3% armor regen, it's going to be 2, and then instead of 10% health, it's going to be 60% health. Okay, Brazos de Arquebus is going from a 20% mag to a 50% mag. That's huge. I'll be doing that. Bellstone Armory is now only getting an increase in incoming repairs. Badger Tough is only getting an increase in armor on kill. And 511 is getting 30% health and more hazard. They're really pushing health. Really. They're really pushing health. And finally, for Seska, we are getting... Dude, what? Does that say 90? What? We're getting... Yo, do they even test this shit? Do they even test this shit? Like, this is getting childish. Hey guys, how much health do we need? I don't know. Just increase it by 800%. Okay, how do we do that? Well, some of these brand set bonuses will get them to go up 50%, but some of them will go up 80%. Like, what the what? So instead of 10% health with Seska, you want to give people 90% health? Why? Why? This is so dumb. Oh my god, dude. It's like when they go to nerf or buff anything, they don't do it with testing. What they do is it's called blind changes. They are doing these changes without looking at the outcome. They're just, all right, let's try out 90%. Yeah. You cannot tell me that they tested this and said, yeah, 90% is. God damn, dude. Oh, that's they're just changing stuff just to say that they changed stuff. Like, this is not going to do anything but make people try it out, and then they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, health still sucks. Okay, let's go back to armor." Like, come on. Oh, yeesh, yeesh. Okay. Douglas and Harding, they're increasing the stability and accuracy. Fenris, they're increasing the reload and stability. because that's what we asked for. Grupo, they increase the explosive damage because that's what was needed. Petrov, they're increasing the weapon handling and the ammo capacity. For Overlord Armament, they're increasing the accuracy and weapon handling. And for Walker Harris and Co., they're increasing the damage to armor. Okay. Out of all of these, let me see. Any of them that I actually want to test out. Okay. Richter and Kaiser. I mean, the 40% repair skills is a big change. I mean, there's really nothing. The Brazos with the higher mag size. Yeah, that'll be a good one to test out. The Heliogard and the Golan, they completely nerfed the hell out of those. So instead of getting 5%, if you ran both of those together, now you're only getting 3.5%. So that's way less. What else? I mean, that's pretty much it. The Walker Harris damage to armor buff is good. Dude, none of these were needed. I would say easily 90% of these changes no one asked for. No one asked for more weapon handling and stability on a Douglas and Harding, which is made for pistols. No one asked for that crap. No one asked for Fenris to give us more reload and stability. No one asked for that crap. No one asked for Petrov to give us more weapon handling and ammo capacity. No one asked for that. Show me. I know the I have access to these discussion boards. None of this is being talked about. Overlord is getting an accuracy and weapon handling buff, but yet they wanted to talk shit about rifles not getting weapon handling and stability when you're doing it all without it's smoke and mirrors. Hey guys, we're not going to change the weapons because that won't, that'll mess up our diversity. But we're going to change the brand set bonus to give you all the things you want. Yeesh. All right, all the brand sets not being changed: Yalgear, Araldi, Providence, and Sokolov Concern. None of those are being changed. Okay, moving on. Improvements. They now have a Tinker station, so you can tinker. The Tinker station will now have a mobile tinkering function in your UI, so that while you are playing the game, you don't have to go to the base of ops or a safe area to actually change your gear. So it says the functionalities of the Tinker Station can also be accessed on the go from your inventory. There are going to be two different ways. One is by pressing M while nothing. Shit, dude, I'm sorry. I've been. How long's this video? Dude, I've been talking for over 30 minutes. I apologize. I burp every once in a while when I talk too much and I don't drink or anything. Excuse me. I am sorry that I burped. If you heard that, just put I heard that in chat or I heard that in the comments. It'll be our own little secret, but I do apologize. I'm not going to edit that crap out. All right, it says press M when nothing is highlighted and the player will enter the general tinkering menu. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to try that out tomorrow, tinkering. And it says by pressing M when there is a specific item selected, the player will make tinkering operations directly to that highlighted target. Okay. Expertise. No changes were made between phase 1 and phase 2. Okay. Recalibration and optimization. They are merging both of these into the tinkering category. Optimization can no longer be done to a higher value that is stored in the recalibration library. Dang. That is a change that will affect every player in the game. For instance, if you have a mask that can only be recalibrated up to 11.9, okay? And you know that the max is 12, but for some reason you just can't find a mask that has 12%. And then you go to optimize it from 11.9 to 12 because you can do that right now in the game. You can optimize everything to max because that's what optimizing it means. Well, now optimizing will only go to the value stored on the recalibration library. That's big. So if you haven't donated everything to max on your recalibration library, then that means that you will not be able to optimize those items all the way to max until you have maxed out your recalibration library. That is a big, big change. Wow. Okay. It says optimization upgrade steps have also changed. The player will no longer have to pay the full price. For example, if the user has a plus 10 SMG in the library and is trying to optimize that SMG that has 9.7, since the highest value in the library is 10, it will only be able to upgrade it 0.3%. So that way, you will only have to pay the material price of 0.3%. That's huge. I like that. So you're only paying for the amount of percentages you need to gain. I like that. Okay. Recalibration library, no changes have been made. Improvements to UI, okay. Combat, I mean, that should be a T. That is a typo. Combat gear lock. Combar gear lock. I mean, I understand I pronounce some words wrong, but I don't type them wrong. When joining another player's session, the player joining now has 1 minute to change their gear. Gear lock will no longer be in effect at the shooting range. Okay, that's good. The player will now be able to swap between concussion grenades and your current specialization grenades in combat. That's good. The rogue players will no longer be gear locked, but the combat gear lock still applies. Let's read this. This means that the rogue players in the Dark Zone will be gear locked during combat, as opposed to PTS Phase 1, where it was locked the whole duration. So now if you're rogue but you're not in combat, you'll be able to change. All right. Descent. They have added Descent outfits to the NSA store, all 4 different colored variants. Okay. They have added the Vindicator exotic into the store. What? Into the NSA store. So we can just buy the exotic. Huh? Okay. So we can buy outfits, we can buy the new exotic. Okay. I'm completely confused. Why would you do that? Okay. Next, it says Descent Talent Pool's rotation has its own menu where the current rotation and available talents can be checked. Yeesh. I don't like that they're taking away talents at all. I think they're just purposely trying to make it harder for people because people already don't play Descent. So now you're going to take away talents that some of those players might actually like. Therefore, you're kind of pushing them away from playing a game mode that they already do not want to play. Side note, let me know if you play Descent. The button prompt for the menu can be found within the Descent Entrance AR window. The duration of the rotation and its name is now also displayed. Cool. Projects. Your daily projects will now give you 1 exotic component. That's big. Very nice. That's an easy exotic every day. And the weekly projects will now also include 3 exotic components. That's really good. These are more ways of getting exotics. That's very good. Known issues. The festive delivery talent description is not updated for PvP. Okay, don't care. All right, very cool. Now that was everything. So let's do a very, very, very quick overview. New brand set, Palisade Steelworks, gives you armor on kill, health, and skill tier, perfectly explosive delivery, and perfectly tamper-proof. The new gear set is called the Aegis, and it gives you health, total armor, and damage resistance through the talent Stoic. The new exotic gloves will make it easier for you to hip fire and blind fire from cover. The new exotic weapons, we get an exotic rifle called the Vindicator, which will highlight a random part of your body and will do 75% more damage to that part of the body. The new exotic pistol looks to be useless, but we'll see. The new named weapons and weapon talent. The new weapon talent is called Behind You and Perfectly Behind You. The named weapons will be a named 700 Carbon and a named M16A2. Conflict, they removed the turrets. Dark Zone, they lowered the activation time for Rogue. They switched back the Dr. Holmes, so it still sucks. We suck again! The Festive Delivery is interesting. I mean, they nerfed it for PvP, so we'll see. Unbreakable, they switched it back. System Corruption, they buffed the damage. Intimidate, they nerfed the damage. All exotic weapons will be able to change the bottom attribute. The Carbine 7 and Stoner LAMG will drop with all talents. We had a crap ton of buffs all across the board to a majority of all the weapons. We had changes to nearly all of the brand sets, even though 90% of them are useless. The Tinker Station is good. However, now you cannot optimize gear unless you have it maxed in your recalibration library. That's huge. So start maxing out your recalibration library today. I'll probably have to make a video on that. The Combat Gear Lock is going to see some more changes, and Descent. They added some outfits for us to buy and the new exotic we can buy. Pretty cool. Okay. That is it. And this is for the Title Update 20 PTS Phase 2, and that will start tomorrow at 07 a.m. Eastern. Okay. I'm Kamikazevondoom. I know that that was a very long video. If you stuck it out to the end, you can comment or put in chat. I stuck it out to the end. Thank you so much. I salute you. Yeah, this is a lot of things that we have to test over the weekend, and I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about these patch notes. What should I deep dive into first? We'll discuss it, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you have a great day, great morning, whatever it is for you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one, all right? I am Kamikazevondoom, and remember, all of this news and more is on my Twitter page, X if you nasty. So follow me over here if you want all of the Division news before I make a YouTube video. But that's it for me, everyone. Kamikazevondoom here. Take care of yourself. Peace out.